back, everybody. Jaysin Static with another episode of the interview series. I am Jaysin Static. You, sir, are
Lenny Mephisto.
And how long have you been in the business, Lenny Mephisto?
I had my first match in October of 2004.
Yep.
This match is 20 years I've been in
20 years
apart in wrestling, in the wrestling business.
And you've done a lot of stuff over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your current job in the wrestling business?
I am the owner, booker, and promoter of PWEPIC.
Okay.
We can be found on all social media platforms and YouTube at PWEPIC.
All right, man. I got two questions for you. Are you ready? This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this thing settled out for about 4 or 5 months now.
Right. Busy man,
but we finally got it. First question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What is the worst looking championship of all time throughout all the history of pro wrestling?
I can't speak to the entire history of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I know that I really didn't like the WWE 24/7 championship.
Right.
It had the green strap looked ugly to me, but just, the plates were plain. It just looked like a piece of shit.
I agree. I have a bunch of stuff. Like I didn't like the old NWA US belt.
Right.
With the shape of the United States.
Yeah.
That was, oh my gosh.
I'm very familiar with that championship.
Yes, you are. But man, first question out. Thank you, man. Lenny Mephisto, are you ready for your next question?
I am.
Is independent wrestling a more advantageous route for wrestlers looking to generate income compared to signing with one of the major companies nowadays?
Well, I think it all depends on what your goals and priorities are.
Right.
If you get into this business on day one and you're looking for riches and fame and fortune,
right,
you have to have a plan,
right,
and goals to get to those points.
Right.
If you think you're just going to get a pair of boots and show up and work all these indie shows because you're in it to win it,
right,
probably not going to happen for you. I think that 99%, failure rate is probably the most accurate.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to be exceptional.
Right.
And goals and dreams are not the same thing.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know the difference. So I think that if you got the right character, you got the right gimmick, you can get over on the indies because, you can get over in your town.
Right.
And you can drive to, I don't know, Bethlehem, Massachusetts.
Right.
And people don't know who you are.
Right. So, do you think it's harder for young guys, or do you think it's better? We came up in the early 2000s. Do you think it's better nowadays than it was back then in the ways of being able to potentially make some type of income out of it?
I think it's a lot easier on the younger guys because of social media. It's easier to be seen. It's easier to get your stuff out.
Right.
You don't have to, when I started, you had to talk to a promoter on a landline phone who was attached to the
Right. Yeah.
Flyers were orange construction paper with words on them. Social media, it's not everything. It's not the be all end all, but it's just an amazing and great tool.
Yeah.
To reach everyone. So
do you
and also the culture is different.
Right.
When we got in wrestling, things were harder.
Right.
A
lot of old school rough guys.
And they didn't want to give you anything unless you'd been in this for 5 or 10 years.
Right.
And it was always expected to set up and tear down. It was always expected to go out flyer. It was always expected to sling hot dogs and nachos in the concession stand. It was expected to do every job, run sound, referee, your job. They made you do every job in wrestling before you got to wrestle. And then when you got to wrestle, what's your policy on language here?
Anything that you want.
You were still a piece of shit.
Right.
You were a rookie, you were beneath all those guys, and they beat you up. They were nice guys. They were guys who tried to teach you, but not for me. No one ever pulled you aside and said, hey, this is what you need to do, because they didn't want you
taking their spot. Do
Do
you think it's better suited, since you run a company now and you get to interact with a lot of guys in the locker room culture? Do you think it's a lot better nowadays than it was back then? Do you see that? Do you see the aspect of the older guys on the card being more willing to help younger guys?
Yeah, and there's pros and cons to both eras.
Right.
But I think I prefer this era in a lot of ways because there's probably more independent professional wrestling now than there ever was before, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's got its pros and cons.
Right. I mean, it's hard for me to assess that in this short interview.
Right. And, I mean, I got other questions in this interview series that are like that.
Right.
And maybe one day down the road we can get into a topic like that.
I just know that I like to create something that people enjoy.
Right.
I like to take the guys and talk to the guys and coach them where they need to be.
Right.
Wherever I can help them succeed.
Right. Me too.
On this level, in this area.
Me too.
And that's really just, I want to give because
right.
I didn't.
It was hard up. It was hard up when we came up.
I want to give them the opportunities that I never got.
Right.
That's what I really want.
Man, and I appreciate that too. And that's the same thing that I do, that I'm trying to do with Fight Club and everything like that. And then all the other companies that are all around, you know, like me going around to all these different companies, like, you know, I'm one of those guys that I feel like, you know, even though I wasn't a big name in the industry,
right,
and hell, I wasn't even a big name in the St. Louis area, but I know a lot of people, and, you know, I've grown a lot, and I have a certain skill set that I have, you know, and being able to dial in on pulling out characters and emotions and stuff like that with people. And I feel like I'm better suited at that than some other people, but I'm one of those guys, like you, as you know, like I tell my guys to go everywhere you can to try to figure out this business of wrestling, because it's fucking hard.
You know, when I was young, I was brand new in wrestling.
Yeah.
There was a promoter named Frank Reed.
Yeah.
Frank Root, RCW.
Yeah. I remember I worked there a couple of times.
And, you know, he said to me, you know, I was the only one that came to the building and helped him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ring was still up. It was like a fucking Wednesday, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this ring was still up and the concession dishes were dirty and there was shit everywhere. And like I showed up and I helped him.
Yeah.
You know, it was just me and him. And he said to me when I was leaving, Lenny, the only reason I stay in this business sometimes, I think, is to help guys like you live your dream.
Right.
And when I was young, you know, I didn't know. I thought maybe it was like this crock of shit or something.
Yeah. I think we all had that.
And now that I'm doing it,
yeah,
I reflect back to that. I'm like, you know, I know that either he was 100% true or there was some truth that like there had to have been.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I think he was telling the truth.
I think even the way, like I talked to some of the old guys and I'm like, I think sometimes they say things the wrong way, you know, and it might rub us like new guys the wrong way. And we might feel like they're, you know, downgrading us a little bit, but there's always a little kernel of truth in what they say.
Yeah, there was some truth in that. I don't know if it was all the way, because, you know, everybody has reason. You know?
Right, you're right.
They want to be the king, they want to be the captain, they want to be the booker, but they don't know what it means. You know?
Right.
They don't understand that being the man and being the top guy, like the guy that runs it, it's not a prize just to be won and awarded and celebrated.
It's fucking hard, man.
A responsibility, is a burden to bear.
Right, it is.
But it's one that I would gladly bear any day of the week.
All right, man. We're going to wrap this up. You got anything to promote? Upcoming shows, merchandise, websites, social media, anything like that?
Well, we just signed a deal with IWTV. So get your independent wrestling TV subscription. New content dropping every week.
There you go. Awesome.
We got a Pro Wrestling Tees store, Pro Wrestling Epic.
Awesome.
I'm doing a belt raffle with signatures for every wrestler that's came and worked these shows for the entire year. The tickets are $5. You can get a hold of me on social media. I will sell them to you. On December 7th, I will go into the ring. I will draw the ticket. If I draw your ticket and you are not present, I will call you on the telephone right in the ring. We've got the Beatdown in Brownstown on November 1st in Brownstown, Illinois. It's Friday, November 1st. It is a fundraiser for the Brownstown Junior Senior High School Athletics. We have Jack Vaughn's Thigh Slapping, Super Kicking, Indie-rific Slamboree on Saturday, November 2nd at Concordia Turner's Gym in St. Louis, Missouri. Tickets are on sale now for both of those shows, and you can get a hold of this guy to go. And
don't forget to follow the Pro Wrestling Epic YouTube channel too.
Right.
That's where I watch all my Pro Wrestling Epic stuff.
You're gonna start watching on IWTV.
I'm gonna have to get one, man.
Social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube at PWEPIC. That's the @ symbol PWEPIC.
And we're gonna run this thing out like we always do. Jaysin Static across all social media: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check me out. Fight Club Wrestling Academy, Facebook, YouTube. That's where we're at. Tell me, since we're here on YouTube right now, tell me if you like Pro Wrestling Epic. Tell me if you like Lenny Mephisto. And guess what? Also tell me if you don't like Lenny Mephisto and you don't like Pro Wrestling Epic, because guess what? That runs up the algorithm and that helps all of us.
And Jaysin Static will let me know how you feel.
And then last but not least, I don't have the website anymore, but I got something coming. I'm something cooking. So if you want to hit merch up with me, hit me up on all social medias, Facebook, YouTube, for the Fight Club merch, the Jaysin Static merch, and the 138 Streetwear merch, which is pro wrestling based streetwear for the pro wrestlers, made by a pro wrestler. Check me out, Lenny Mephisto. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being.
It's not just pro wrestling, it's pro wrestling epic.
There we go, baby. Perfect.